Welcome to the Provider Behaviour Ecosystem Map. Here you can explore the factors that influence facility-based provider behaviour and discover connections between those factors. This resource will help you think more holistically about provider behaviour change so that you can design, implement and evaluate more effective initiatives. We'll walk through how to navigate the map so that you can make the most of it. The Provider Behaviour Ecosystem Map visually displays the complex system in which facility-based providers operate. It shows the actors, entities and other elements that influence provider behaviour. It also highlights the relationships between those elements. Let's start at the centre of the ecosystem map. Here you will find the actors and entities. Actors are individuals or groups that influence provider behaviour, while entities are organisations or institutions that influence provider behaviour. The actors and entities are placed in their relevant level of the socio-ecological model: individual, interpersonal, community, organisational or public policy levels. You can also see that the actors and entities are colour-coded to match their related influence factor in the map. For example, these circles, international bodies, government agencies and donors, are grey to show their connection to country and geopolitical context. You can click on the lettered circles to learn more about them and how they shape provider behaviour. Moving to the inner ring of the map, you will find the influence factors. Influence factors are the overarching groupings of elements that influence provider behaviour across the ecosystem. There are 7 influence factors: the individual, personal relationships, the client, community context and social norms, workplace environment, health system governance, and country and geopolitical context. You can learn more about each influence factor by clicking on its text label. Each pop-up window provides a description of the influence factor and its relationship to provider behaviour. Each influence factor is divided into subcategories found in the middle ring of the map. These subcategories group similar components together. For example, the influence factor for individual is broken into 3 groups: the characteristics of the provider's history and experience, and the provider's purpose. Around the outside of the ring, represented by small circles, are the components. Components are the elements, grouped according to influence factor, that shape and influence provider behaviour. You can see the progression from influence factors to components by moving from the inner to the outer ring of the circle. For example, the client is the grouping of client-related factors that influence provider behaviour. The client influence factor is divided into client features, client history and health situation, and client-provider interaction elements. Each of those subcategories has a number of components associated with it. To learn more about a component, click on the component circle. A window will display the component's definition and why it is important for provider behaviour change. When you hover over a component, you will see that the circle turns pink. You will also notice that other components around the map appear. These are the interrelationships. Interrelationships are the connections and interactions between components in the ecosystem. The factors influencing provider behaviour are interconnected. So when you look at a component, it's important to think about what other components might influence or be influenced by it. For example, guidelines and protocols established at the health system level influence the processes and procedures at individual facilities. They can also influence a provider's perceived role and their approach to healthcare. Guidelines and protocols are influenced by the political context and priorities, established national targets, as well as larger socio-cultural norms. Now that you understand how to navigate the ecosystem map, your first step is to review its content and seek to understand the various factors influencing provider behaviour. To help keep track of your thinking, you can make use of the worksheet, which you can download from the website in the Apply the Map section. Next, you should conduct assessments or review secondary research to identify which of those initially identified factors are most relevant and influential for your group of providers. There are a number of existing tools that can support this purpose. We are also in the process of designing a diagnostic tool that will integrate specifically with this provider behaviour ecosystem map. Stay tuned for that in mid-2021. We encourage you to explore the website for more information about how and when to use the ecosystem map. And we hope the provider behaviour ecosystem map helps you unravel the complexity of provider behaviour change, and that it serves as a foundation for more supportive and effective initiatives.